Welcome to updating my Tinyhawk with this XT30 plug, which I have from a cheap adapter. To use it directly with 2S battery packs instead of the two 1S batteries it comes from the factory with. I'm a beginner when it comes to working with drones, and I will leave in any mistakes I made during the update so you can avoid them. First mistake is right here where I cut the cables and I cut them too short, which will become a problem later. I wanted to update batteries because 2S batteries should allow for a tiny bit more flight time. They handle punch outs a bit better. They have a longer battery life because you can charge them to storage voltage, and also because they are easier to work with in the field. So next step is removing the mantle of the cables so that you can solder the cable to the drone. I did this with my fingernails. Next, cut the zip ties that hold the original cables. Then we have to prepare the new cables for soldering by adding tin to each of them. I could have had an easier job if I had used a third hand tool, or at least used a little bit of tape to glue the tables down, but I'm a complete beginner, I didn't really think of this, and in the end it worked out for me. Always solder in a well-ventilated area and try not to breathe in the fumes. Once both of the cable ends are completely covered in tin, we can move on and start removing the original cables from the flight controller. Always make sure that the tip of your soldering iron is covered in tin, otherwise heat transfer is really bad and you will heat a long time on the original solder spot and it won't melt, which is what happened to me. After removing both cables, add a little bit of tin to both of the soldering pads. Make sure you solder the red cable to the positive or plus soldering pad and the black cable to the negative soldering pad. At this point I was close to getting professional help because I just couldn't solder the cables to the pad, but it turned out that my cheap soldering iron is not very good at holding the temperature under these conditions, and that it would have been a really easy job with a better soldering iron. Not a nice job, but it was pretty stable and it didn't look like a dead short circuit. You should always use a smoke stopper when you plug in a battery after you did some kind of updates, but this worked and I didn't fry my board. As you might have seen before, the back spacer that holds the flight controller was broken before, and so I did not have enough room for the negative cable and had to solder on another part of the original cable to get it around the back spacer. In the end I covered the new soldering spot with some shrinking tube and everything worked nice. My next updates were the FPV camera and the propellers. If you have any other interesting proposals on what to do next, please let me know, and I hope you had some fun and maybe it helped you doing your own 2S update on your drone.